Hi, my name is David Foster, and I'm making this video to talk about how I was finally able to quit smoking. Since you're on my website, I'm sure you've been in the same position I was with smoking and trying to quit. And by the way, I'm literally sitting in my home making this video by myself. I don't have some company behind me or some big corporation or whatever. The point is, I'm not going to feed you any of the same old bogus marketing stuff here. I hate all that stuff just as much as anyone. We've all heard about the miracle pills, the procedures, and the so-called cures for smoking, and we both know that most of the time that stuff doesn't work, and it's just a waste of time and money. So you're not going to hear about any of that stuff from me, just my own story about how I was able to finally quit smoking that I want to share with you. And another thing, you won't find the same old information here. If you've been searching online, I'm sure you've seen most of the top results, the top websites. And if you look at these sites, I'm sure you've noticed how they all offer the same information about smoking and how bad it is and why you should quit, but they don't give any real solid information on how to quit. Usually it's just the same old stuff. A lot of it is focused on nicotine replacement, which, as you might have experienced yourself, doesn't work in many cases. It certainly never worked for me, and I'm going to talk about why nicotine replacement often fails for a lot of people in a minute. So I actually smoked my first cigarette when I was 8 years old. I had a friend in the neighborhood I lived in at the time, and one day he took me into his dad's shed out in their backyard. He'd taken 2 cigs, as he called them, from his dad and wanted me to try one. Of course, it wasn't long before I was snatching any cigs wherever I could get them, and so were most of my friends in the neighborhood. But since I was so young, I didn't really inhale the smoke. I didn't know that you were supposed to. I remember we would just blow the smoke out, and I remember how cool we all thought it was. And it is cool, right? When you're 8 years old and you're smoking like all the adults and all the cool guys and gals in the movies. But by the time I was around 13 or 14, I was inhaling. And by that time, I was smoking anywhere from 5 to 10 cigarettes a day, and even more if I could get them. By the time I was in my 20s, I was up to 2 packs a day, and a lot of times even more. For more than 30 years, I was a slave to cigarettes, but a few years ago, I knew enough was enough. I remember one day when I got home, just sitting there, just drained. I had absolutely no energy. The truth was, I was tired. I felt broken down, but not just physically broken down. This time it was different. I was absolutely just exhausted. I was tired of the painful coughing. I was tired of hawking up that nasty brown and green slime out of my lungs every day. I was truly tired of knowing that with each drag, I was essentially throwing my life away. And not only that, I was making tobacco companies even richer, all while destroying my health. And they don't care about any of that. All they care about is keeping you hooked so you will keep stuffing their pockets. But I knew that day, at that moment, that if I didn't change, I was going to die from smoking. I truly knew that. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I knew I had to quit. I had to do it. There was no other option. It was no longer possible for me to live like that. By that time, I had tried, just like you probably have, I had tried to quit many, many times before and failed every time. I had tried the gums, the patches, lozenges, sprays, vaping, and on and on and on, and none of that stuff had come close to working. I had read all the top articles online. I had bought all the books and programs, went through all of the expensive top quit smoking programs, and still had nothing but failure. I'm sure you've seen this happen with friends of yours that smoke and have tried to quit, and I know there's a good chance that you yourself have experienced this same failure. But why? Why is it that this failure happens so often? That's what I had to figure out. That's when I started to research as much as I could about the true addiction of smoking cigarettes. Obviously, you and all other smokers know that cigarette smoking is an addiction. I mean, of course, everyone knows that. But I think that most smokers have no idea how truly powerful of an addiction it really is. If you research nicotine addiction, you will find that there have been many studies by researchers, health organizations, medical professionals, and other scientists that have proven that nicotine is as addictive as heroin, cocaine, and other highly addictive and dangerous drugs. I learned that it's not enough to try and control your nicotine addiction with nicotine products, nicotine replacement products. Most of the time, it simply doesn't work because you're still feeding your body the highly addictive nicotine that it's already addicted to. I mean, that's the problem, right? So the number one step when it comes to fighting your smoking addiction is to recognize exactly what you are dealing with, and that is this fact. nicotine is a very dangerous drug. I knew that the only way to beat my nicotine addiction was to try a completely different approach, something that I had never seen anyone mention before, especially all the quit smoking companies that make nicotine products like the gums, sprays, and all that stuff. And it's pretty obvious why, right? The longer you keep feeding your body nicotine, the harder it is to get off of it and away from the addiction. And of course, the more of those nicotine products you will keep buying, and the more money those companies will make. Remember, the goal of a company is to make money, and it's no different from the companies that make all of these nicotine replacement products. So I knew trying to fight your nicotine addiction by still using nicotine was not the answer. So I spent months researching, and I'm talking a lot of in-depth research about addiction and addiction treatment, not just, reading a few articles online. I'm talking about reading many books written by the top addiction specialists in the world. But I noticed something. I noticed that they still didn't approach cigarette addiction or nicotine addiction like other addictions, even though, like I said, it's just as addictive as some of the strongest illegal narcotics. So after all these months and months of reading and diving into addiction and addiction recovery, I put together a plan. My own plan based on all of this new information I had about breaking an addiction, specifically my addiction to smoking cigarettes. I felt really good about my plan because it was something I'd never tried before, and most importantly, it made complete sense. I knew that it was going to work because it really is foolproof. And once you begin using these methods, you'll see how powerful they really are. So once I had my plan in place, and once I was truly ready, it was time to put the plan into action. Now, my plan is a 7-day plan, and I wrote down every step, everything down to the smallest detail, so that I wouldn't mess up my chances of finally beating my addiction once and for all. That is one of the most important parts of this system. You have to be prepared, and you have to stick to your plan. In the system, I show you exactly step by step how to prepare and how to develop your own plan following the same methods I used to break my smoking habit for good. I can't even begin to tell you the feeling. Like, it literally is almost impossible to put into words for me, but just the overwhelming feeling of finally, after all those years of being a slave to cigarettes and nicotine, finally being free. After everything I'd been through trying to quit smoking, and finally I had come up with something that actually worked. I said to myself, I have to write this down. I have to record this. I have to share this with other people. So I sat down and started writing. Honestly, I really had no idea what I was doing. I was just trying to get all of my notes in order. But before I knew it, I had basically written a book. I had never written anything in my life, much less a book. So I got done with it, and I didn't exactly know what to do with it. But anyway, long story short, I eventually ended up with what I decided to call Quit in 7 Days. Every method I used to literally kill my smoking habit is in Quit in 7 Days. And it doesn't matter if you've been smoking for a week or 30 plus years like I did. I explain step by step how I quit smoking without buying any expensive nicotine patches, gums, or any of those other nicotine-based products. I know you might have heard that before. I know I've been duped by other products before, making that same claim that you don't need nicotine products. I won't name any names, but let's just say I wasn't impressed, and obviously the techniques in those other products didn't work. In Quit in 7 Days, I go into the exact supplies you do need that will allow you to quit smoking pretty much as soon as you get started with the steps. And the cool thing is, these supplies are basic supplies that you probably already have in your home. I also go in depth on how to rehabilitate your mind and body using natural methods that will completely break the hold cigarettes have on you. But don't worry, this is not some kind of like complex yoga or meditation or stuff like that, which there's nothing wrong with that stuff, but these are just simple natural techniques that you can use. And one of the main things about my system that I made is, and this is very, very important, this is why most people fail when they try to quit smoking. I explain how to crush those triggers that make you want a cigarette, that make you crave smoking. I even came up with a little trick where you can actually use cigarettes to trick your mind into not craving a cigarette. These are methods that will basically show you how to make your body automatically reject cigarettes or any kind of tobacco cravings. You'll also learn how to crush something else that's one of the main causes of failure when it comes to quitting, and that is how to avoid those cravings and stay smoke-free around other smokers. Even your friends, family, and coworkers, all those pesky other smokers that have made it so hard to quit before. I also discuss how I was able to use the activities I naturally enjoy to completely stop cigarette cravings dead in their tracks, and how you can also do this. All of these steps and methods were part of my plan, and you will learn exactly how to build your own plan so that you succeed in quitting smoking the first time you use the system. There is a lot more information that you will learn. I'm just giving you an outline of what the system is and some of the ways it will help you quit smoking. The Quit in 7 Days system works. Every single day I get messages, emails from people all over the world who have used my system to permanently stop smoking. I get messages from all types of people, mothers and fathers who want to quit for their children. I get emails from people who have been smoking for 50 years and were finally able to quit. People who have only been smoking for like a year and needed help. I even get emails from nurses and doctors who say my system is the only thing that worked for them. And those people are not special. They are no different from you or me. All they did was follow the steps, learn the methods, set up their plan, and most importantly, they stuck to their plan. I can't really say, it's really hard for me to put into words what it means to me knowing that so many people have used my system to live happier, healthier lives, and I know it can also help you. So if you're ready to finally stop smoking and kill your deadly nicotine addiction once and for all, click below to get Quit in 7 Days and start using these powerful methods yourself. And by the way, I'm always around and you can reach out to me through email if you ever need anything, and I'll always do my best to help any way I can. So click below and start crushing your tobacco addiction right now. I look forward to adding your story to the wall of success.